From the streets to the ring, the Don King story. In Cleveland, Ohio, a young Don King rose from humble beginnings. Life wasn't easy. The streets were tough, unforgiving, but King had a spark, a drive that set him apart. He was a hustler, a survivor. King's early life was a mix of ambition and trouble. A stint in prison for manslaughter cast a long shadow. But even behind bars, King's mind churned. He had a natural charisma, a way with words that could captivate and disarm. Fate had a plan for Don King, leading him to the world of boxing. A mind for business, a past shrouded in shadows. Don King was a born businessman. He had an innate ability to spot an opportunity, to negotiate a deal, to come out on top. His early ventures were as varied as they were audacious. Numbers running, promoting concerts, always hustling. King knew how to work a crowd, how to create buzz, how to make himself the center of attention. But King's past was never far behind. Despite the whispers, King was on the rise. Entering the world of boxing, a star is born. The world of boxing in the 1970s was a wild and chaotic place. It was the perfect environment for a man like Don King to thrive. His first major foray into the boxing world came with the promotion of a charity boxing match in Cleveland. The event was a resounding success, proving King's ability to draw a crowd and generate excitement. He had found his calling. King's charisma and business acumen quickly caught the attention of the biggest names in boxing. But behind the glitz and glamour, a darker story was unfolding. The Rumble in the Jungle, held in Kinshasa, Zaire in 1974, was more than just a boxing match. It was a cultural phenomenon. Muhammad Ali, the outspoken and charismatic former champion, facing off against the younger, seemingly invincible George Foreman. And at the helm of this spectacle was Don King, the flamboyant promoter who had brokered the impossible. King had secured an unprecedented $10 million purse for the fight. It was a masterstroke that instantly catapulted him to the forefront of the boxing world. The fight itself was legendary. Ali, employing his now famous rope-a-dope strategy, knocked out the champion in the 8th round. King had orchestrated one of the greatest sporting events in history. Section 2. Building an empire, King's stable of champions. Following the success of the Rumble in the Jungle, Don King was a man in demand. He became a magnet for young, hungry fighters, promising them fame, fortune, and the world at their feet. His stable of fighters grew to include some of the most recognizable names in boxing: Larry Holmes, Roberto Duran, Alexis Arguello, and a young, ferocious Mike Tyson. King had a keen eye for talent, recognizing the raw power and potential that these fighters possessed. He offered them a way out, a chance to achieve their dreams, but often at a steep price. He controlled their purses, their endorsements, their very careers. But as his power and wealth grew, so did the whispers of discontent. Section 3. The rise of the promoter, shifting power dynamics. The rise of Don King coincided with a shift in the power dynamics of the boxing world. Traditionally, promoters had played a secondary role, facilitating fights and negotiating contracts, but ultimately serving the interests of the fighters. King, however, saw an opportunity to seize control, to become the main attraction. He understood the power of media, of hype, of creating narratives that captivated the public's imagination. He wasn't just promoting fights, he was promoting Don King, the brand. He became as well known as the fighters he represented, if not more so. This shift in power had a profound impact on the sport. Section 4. Beyond the ring, King's growing influence. Don King's influence extended far beyond the boxing ring. He became a celebrity in his own right, a sought-after guest on talk shows and a fixture at high-profile events. He hobnobbed with politicians, musicians, and movie stars. his flamboyant personality and larger-than-life persona making him an irresistible subject for the media. He used his newfound platform to champion social causes, aligning himself with civil rights leaders and advocating for African American empowerment. However, his motives were often questioned. Critics accused him of using his social activism as a way to deflect criticism of his business practices and to enhance his public image. Whether his intentions were genuine or self-serving, there's no denying that Don King had become a cultural force. Section 5. Whispers of Doubt, the Price of Success. As Don King's star continued to rise, so did the whispers of doubt surrounding his business practices. Accusations of shady dealings, rigged fights, and financial impropriety followed him like a shadow. Several of King's former fighters came forward with allegations of being swindled out of millions of dollars. They accused him of using complex contracts, hidden clauses, and outright deception to line his own pockets at their expense. King vehemently denied these allegations, dismissing them as the sour grapes of disgruntled ex-employees. Despite his protestations of innocence, the accusations tarnished his reputation. The darker side of Don King was beginning to emerge from the shadows. Section 1. The Price of Loyalty, Larry Holmes and the Missing Millions. Larry Holmes, the Easton Assassin, was one of Don King's most successful and loyal fighters. A dominant heavyweight champion, Holmes reigned supreme for much of the early 1980s. Throughout his reign, King was by his side, his promoter, his confidant, his friend, or so Holmes thought. As Holmes' career progressed, so did his earnings. However, cracks began to appear in their relationship as Holmes grew increasingly suspicious of King's financial dealings. When Holmes retired in 1985, he believed he was walking away a wealthy man. He soon discovered that millions of dollars were missing, unaccounted for. Section 2. Iron Mike explodes, Tyson versus King, a battle inside and outside the ring. Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, was a force of nature, a boxing prodigy who burst onto the scene with explosive power and raw aggression. Don King, recognizing Tyson's potential to become a global superstar, swooped in, becoming his promoter and, in many ways, his surrogate father figure. Under King's guidance, Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in history. King, the master manipulator, expertly crafted Tyson's public persona, fueling his bad boy image while reaping the financial rewards. However, behind the facade of success and camaraderie, a toxic relationship was brewing. Tyson, young and impressionable, placed his trust in King, believing he had his best interests at heart. The relationship reached a boiling point in 1998 when Tyson filed a $100 million lawsuit against King. Section 3. The FBI comes knocking, investigations and indictments. Don King's flamboyant personality and questionable business practices had long attracted the attention of law enforcement. However, his influence and connections, coupled with a reluctance from many within the boxing world to testify against him, made it difficult to build a solid case. However, in the late 1990s, the tide began to turn. The FBI launched a full-scale investigation into King's business dealings, focusing on allegations of fraud, tax evasion, and racketeering. They interviewed former fighters, business associates, and rivals, piecing together a complex web of deceit and manipulation. In 1999, a federal grand jury indicted King on 9 counts of wire fraud. Despite the mounting evidence and the seriousness of the charges, King remained defiant, proclaiming his innocence. Section 4. A Pattern of Deception, Tales of Betrayal and Broken Promises. As the FBI investigation progressed and King's legal troubles mounted, more and more boxers came forward with their own stories of betrayal and financial exploitation. Fighters like Tim Witherspoon, Michael Moorer, and Frankie Lyles all accused King of using similar tactics to cheat them out of their earnings. They described a pattern of deception, alleging that King would insert himself into their lives, offering guidance and support, portraying himself as a father figure looking out for their best interests. However, They claimed that this facade hid a ruthless businessman who would stop at nothing to line his own pockets. They accused King of using manipulative contracts, often written in complex legal language that they didn't fully understand, to secure their loyalty and control their careers. They alleged that he would inflate expenses, skim off the top of their purses, and pressure them into taking fights that benefited him financially. The stories of these fighters painted a damning picture of Don King's reign over the boxing world. Section 5. Organized crime connections, shadows of doubt linger. Throughout his career, Don King was dogged by rumors and allegations of connections to organized crime. His rapid rise to power, his ruthless business tactics, and his ability to seemingly operate with impunity fueled speculation about his associations with powerful and dangerous figures. While no concrete evidence ever directly linked King to criminal activity, his name surfaced in several investigations and trials involving prominent organized crime figures. His association with figures like John Gotti, the notorious Gambino crime family boss, raised eyebrows and fueled suspicions. King vehemently denied any involvement with organized crime, dismissing the allegations as baseless rumors spread by his enemies. He maintained that his success was a result of hard work, business acumen, and his ability to connect with fighters. Despite his denials, the cloud of suspicion never fully dissipated. The allegations, whether true or not, tarnished his reputation and cast a long shadow over his achievements, further solidifying his image as a controversial and enigmatic figure. Section 6. The Teflon Don evading justice, maintaining a grip on power. Despite facing numerous lawsuits, investigations, and a high-profile indictment, Don King seemed to possess an almost Teflon-like ability to emerge from scandals relatively unscathed. He avoided serious jail time, often settling out of court or seeing charges against him reduced or dropped. His legal victories, often attributed to his team of skilled lawyers and his own shrewdness, only added to his mystique. Some saw him as a cunning operator, a master manipulator who knew how to work the system to his advantage. Despite the controversies and the damage to his reputation, King maintained a grip on power within the boxing world. He continued to promote fights, sign high-profile fighters, and generate headlines. His influence, though diminished, remained undeniable. His resilience, his ability to weather storms that would have toppled others, earned him a mix of admiration and revulsion. He became a cautionary tale, a symbol of the corrupt underbelly of professional sports, yet he remained a powerful and enduring figure. Section 7. The human cost, broken dreams, and tarnished legacies. Beyond the legal battles and the financial disputes, the true cost of Don King's alleged actions can be measured in the broken dreams and tarnished legacies of the fighters he represented. Many of these athletes, drawn to boxing as a way out of poverty, placed their trust in King, only to find themselves exploited and betrayed. They sacrificed their bodies and their health in pursuit of glory and financial security, often ending their careers with little to show for their efforts. Some, like Larry Holmes and Mike Tyson, managed to rebuild their lives, but many others faded into obscurity, haunted by what might have been. The allegations against King exposed the darker side of the American dream, the seductive allure of fame and fortune, and the vulnerability of those who strive for it without the necessary guidance and protection. They serve as a reminder that even in the world of sports, where talent and hard work are supposed to be rewarded, exploitation and manipulation can thrive. Section 8. A Tainted Legacy, the enduring impact of King's reign. Don King's legacy within the world of boxing is complex and contradictory. On one hand, he's credited with revolutionizing the sport, transforming it into a global entertainment spectacle, and ushering in an era of unprecedented financial rewards for fighters. He orchestrated some of the most iconic and lucrative fights in history, elevating the profiles of legendary boxers like Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, and Mike Tyson. He possessed an undeniable charisma and a keen understanding of the public's appetite for spectacle. However, his legacy is forever tainted by the allegations of corruption, exploitation, and betrayal that have followed him throughout his career. The stories of fighters who claim to have been cheated, manipulated, and discarded cast a long shadow over his accomplishments. Don King's story serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder that the pursuit of wealth and power can come at a steep price, both for individuals and for the integrity of the institutions they inhabit. His impact on the world of boxing, for better or worse, remains undeniable. The shadow over success. Champions left scarred. Even for those who reached the pinnacle of the sport, becoming world champions under Don King's guidance, the experience often left lasting scars. The allure of fame and fortune often masked a darker reality, a world where loyalty was a one-way street and betrayal lurked around every corner. Take the story of Tim Witherspoon, a hard-hitting heavyweight contender who captured a portion of the world title in the 1980s. Witherspoon, a powerful puncher with a granite chin, possessed all the tools to become a dominant champion. However, his career became entangled in King's web of manipulation, leaving him feeling cheated and disillusioned. Witherspoon accused King of orchestrating unfavorable fights, manipulating rankings, and skimming off his earnings. He claimed that King's machinations prevented him from securing lucrative title defenses and maximizing his earning potential. Despite possessing the talent to achieve greater heights, Witherspoon's career became a cautionary tale of unfulfilled promise, a testament to the corrosive influence King could wield. The shadow of King's dealings extended beyond individual careers, casting a pall over the sport itself. The public's trust in the integrity of boxing matches, already fragile due to its history of corruption, eroded further as whispers of King's influence grew louder. Beyond the headlines, the untold stories of exploitation. While the stories of high-profile champions like Holmes and Tyson garnered significant media attention, it was often the lesser-known fighters who toiled in relative obscurity, who bore the brunt of King's alleged exploitation. These boxers, often from impoverished backgrounds, were particularly vulnerable to King's manipulative tactics. Lured by promises of fame and fortune, they signed contracts that seemed too good to be true, often without fully understanding the terms. They placed their trust in King, believing he had their best interests at heart, only to find themselves trapped in a system designed to benefit him at their expense. A cycle of poverty and broken promises. For many young men from impoverished neighborhoods, boxing represented more than just a sport. It was a way out, a chance to escape the cycle of poverty and violence that surrounded them. They saw boxing gyms as sanctuaries, places where they could channel their aggression, develop discipline, and dream of a better life. Don King, with his own roots in poverty and his understanding of the allure of success, often targeted these young athletes, offering them a glimmer of hope in a world often devoid of opportunity. He portrayed himself as a savior, a mentor who could guide them to the promised land of fame and fortune. However, for many, King's promises proved hollow. Instead of finding financial security and a path to a better life, they often ended their careers right back where they started, broke, injured, and disillusioned. The very system that promised to elevate them often left them trapped in the same cycle of poverty and hardship they had sought to escape. The human cost of King's alleged exploitation extended beyond the individuals involved, perpetuating a cycle of despair and reinforcing negative stereotypes about the sport of boxing and the communities it often represented. Section 4. The price of silence. Fear and retaliation in King's shadow. For many years, fear and intimidation silenced those who dared to speak out against Don King. Boxers, trainers, and managers who witnessed or experienced his alleged wrongdoing often chose to remain silent, fearing for their careers and their safety. King cultivated an aura of power and influence, surrounding himself with a loyal entourage and projecting an image of invincibility. He was known for his quick temper and his vindictive nature, and rumors of threats and retaliation against those who crossed him circulated within boxing circles. The fear of being blackballed within the sport, of being denied opportunities and lucrative fights, kept many silent. They witnessed contracts manipulated, purses skimmed, and careers sabotaged, yet they looked the other way, unwilling to risk their own livelihoods by challenging the powerful promoter. This culture of silence allowed King to operate with a degree of impunity, perpetuating a system where exploitation and corruption could thrive. It was a system that benefited those in power at the expense of those who dared to challenge it, silencing dissent and perpetuating a climate of fear. Section 5. Lost legacies. Boxing careers cut short, dreams deferred. The impact of Don King's alleged actions reverberated beyond the financial realm, affecting the very essence of the sport and the dreams of those who dedicated their lives to it. Boxing, at its core, is about competition, about testing one's skills and determination against another individual in the ultimate display of athleticism and courage. However, when fights are manipulated, rankings skewed, and careers controlled by outside forces, the integrity of the sport is compromised. The dreams of young athletes who entered the ring with aspirations of greatness are often dashed upon the rocks of greed and exploitation. The stories of boxers whose careers were cut short, whose potential unrealized because of King's alleged machinations, serve as a stark reminder of the human cost of corruption. These athletes dedicated years of their lives to honing their craft, enduring grueling training regimes, and putting their bodies on the line, only to have their dreams manipulated and their legacies tarnished. Their stories stand as a testament to the enduring power of hope and resilience, even in the face of adversity, but they also serve as a cautionary tale, a reminder that even in the world of sports where dreams are made and broken, the pursuit of success can come at a heavy price. Section 1. A black eye for boxing, the erosion of trust and integrity. Allegations of corruption surrounding Don King sent shockwaves through the boxing world. Boxing, already grappling with fixed fights and shady promoters, suffered further as King's wrongdoings came to light. The foundation of boxing, a true test of skill and determination, was shaken. Fans began to question the legitimacy of the bouts they witnessed. Was this a genuine contest or a spectacle designed to line pockets? Trust eroded, impacting relationships between fighters, trainers, and promoters. The damage extended beyond the ring, affecting sponsors and TV deals. Section 2. From sweet science to sordid business, the rise of money over merit. Don King's rise marked a shift from boxing's roots to a commercially driven enterprise. Lucrative pay-per-view events and global recognition transformed boxing. The focus shifted to marketable matchups and maximizing profits. Technique and sportsmanship took a back seat to power punching and knockouts. This emphasis on profit impacted the fighters themselves. Matchmaking prioritized big-money fights over athletes' well-being. Section 3. The global reach of corruption, King's shadow beyond American shores. Don King's influence extended far beyond American shores. As boxing globalized, the potential for exploitation grew. King pursued opportunities in Europe, Asia, and South America. Patterns of manipulation surfaced in his international ventures. The global reach of King's actions highlighted systemic corruption. Section 4. Regulation and reform, attempts to clean up the fight game. Scandals surrounding Don King ignited calls for greater regulation and reform. Lawmakers and boxing commissions recognized the need for stricter oversight and accountability. Efforts to clean up boxing have seen varying degrees of success. Stricter licensing, background checks, and financial disclosures were implemented. Boxing's fragmented structure hindered uniform regulations. The sport's international nature complicated enforcement. Despite challenges, the push for reform continued. Section 5. Lingering scars and lessons unlearned. The future of boxing in the aftermath. Don King's legacy of corruption casts a long shadow over boxing. Despite reforms, big money and power still lure. Scandals remind us the fight for fairness isn't over. Allegations of rigged fights and biased judging persist. The future hinges on learning from past mistakes. Collective effort is needed to prioritize integrity. Only then can boxing reclaim its place as the sweet science. Section 1. The sun sets on the king's reign, a legacy marred by controversy. Don King's legacy is a potent blend of triumph and tragedy. He orchestrated boxing's most electrifying moments, etching his name alongside legends like Ali and Tyson. Yet his triumphs are intertwined with allegations of deceit and exploitation. Broken promises and manipulated contracts follow him like a persistent shadow. King's story serves as a cautionary tale. Success without ethics can leave a trail of destruction. Redemption, reform, and the hope for a brighter future. Don King's reign reminds us of boxing's vulnerabilities, where triumph and tragedy are thinly separated. Big money, fame, and desperation create a breeding ground for exploitation. Yet there's a glimmer of hope amidst the scars. Scandals ignited a desire for change. Reform efforts are making headway. Stricter regulations and financial transparency are positive steps. Organizations promoting ethical conduct are gaining traction. The fight for boxing's soul continues. Commitment to transparency and athlete well-being is essential. Only then can boxing emerge worthy of its rich history and passionate fans. The enduring lessons of ambition, corruption, and the price of dreams. Don King's story extends far beyond boxing, reflecting human nature's complexities and the allure of power. It resonates across industries, reminding us that unchecked ambition can have devastating consequences. Integrity and ethical conduct are crucial in all aspects of life. True success is measured by our impact on others and the legacy we leave behind.